Watch complete video to practice questions about Citizenship Test Australia. Topic 1. Australia and its people. Who were the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people? The first inhabitants of Australia. Where do the Aboriginal people hail from? Mainland Australia and Tasmania. When did the Aboriginal people arrive in Australia? Between 65,000 and 40,000 years ago. What association do the Aboriginal people have in the creation of Australia? They were central to the creation of Australia. Question 5. Where do Torres Strait Islander people hail from? They come from the islands between the northern tip of Queensland and Papua New Guinea. How is the deep connection of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples felt with the country? A. It is expressed in their art. B. It is expressed in their stories. C. It is expressed in their dance. Which culture is an important part of Australia's identity? Indigenous culture. What type of violence is illegal in Australia? A. Physical abuse. B. Verbal abuse. When did the European settlement start in Australia? January 26, 1788. What is European Settlement Australia? The first 11 convict ships arrived from Great Britain to Australia. What is the first fleet? The first 11 convict ships that arrived from Great Britain to Australia. Why were the convicts sent to Australia? British rules were very strict. There was no space in the jails to hold more convicts. How was the problem of the convicts in Britain solved? They decided to transport convicts to the other side of the world, to the new colony of New South Wales. Who was the first governor of the colony of New South Wales? Captain Arthur Phillip. How did the first colony survive and develop? A. More and more convicts were sent over. B. More and more free settlers came. From which areas did the early free settlers come to Australia? Early free settlers came from Great Britain and Ireland. On what does the heritage of the early settlers have an influence? A. Australia's politics. B. Australia's culture. C. Australia's history. When did the gold rush happen? 1851. What was the gold rush all about? When gold was discovered in the colonies of New South Wales and Victoria. What happened after the gold rush? People from all over the world came to try to make their fortune. Who were the first non-European people to come to Australia? Chinese. What happened 10 years after the gold rush? Australia's population more than doubled. When were the separate colonies united into a federation of states called the Commonwealth of Australia? 1901. What happened when the Commonwealth of Australia was established? The new democratic institutions were established under the new Australian Constitution. What was the population of Australia in 1901? 4 million. When were the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people included in the official estimates of the Australian population? 1967. When were the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people included in the official estimate of the Australian population? After the referendum. When did the migration levels rise and fall in Australia? First half of the 20th century. How were British migrants encouraged to settle in Australia? Through different programs. When did the major chunk of non-British migrants come to Australia? After the World War II. Why did an influx of non-British migrants come to Australia? Millions of people in Europe had to leave their homelands after World War II. Why did the Europeans pick Australia to come to? Large numbers of Europeans came to Australia to build a new life. In recent years, what has brought people to Australia from all over the world? Migration and refugee programs. Why do people come over to Australia? A. To start a new life. B. To escape poverty, war, or persecution. C. To join their family. Over what time period has the diversity of Australia's population increased? Last 2 centuries. What advantage does a diverse and prosperous society give to Australia? It enhances Australia's connection to the world. What does Australia aim to build? A cohesive and unified nation. What is the national language of Australia? English. Why should migrants learn and use English? To help them participate in Australian society. Why is it important to communicate in English? To make the most of living and working in Australia. How many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages are included in Australian culture? More than 100. What are the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people famous for? They have the oldest continuous cultures and traditions in the world.